November 2000. The frozen plains of northeast China. In the city of Harbin, the winter air is sharp, carrying the weight of a silence that had lasted far too long. On the 28th of that month, a woman, roughly 40 years old, walked into the Nangang District Public Security Bureau with a heavy heart and a terrifying uncertainty. She was there to report that her husband, Yuan Cheng, had vanished. Yuan Cheng was not just anyone. He was a respected cadre within the Harbin Procuratorate. On the morning of November 8th, at approximately 7 a.m., he had received a phone call. He told his wife he was heading to the nearby city of Zhaodong to meet a man named Jiang Yingku to handle some business. He never returned. For 20 days, his phone remained silent, and his seat at the office remained empty. But Yuan wasn't the only one missing. His colleague, an assistant prosecutor named Guo Dongmei, had disappeared at the exact same time. To the authorities, the simultaneous disappearance of two judicial officials was an alarm bell that couldn't be ignored. Little did they know that following the trail of Yuan Cheng would lead them to a chamber of horrors that had been operating in the shadows for 8 years. The man at the center of it all was Jiang Yingku, a man who wore the same uniform as the victims. A man who, between 1993 and 2000, personally or through his henchmen, systematically ended the lives of 21 people. He was a prosecutor, a businessman, and a serial killer, who utilized the very tools of industry to erase the evidence of his atrocities. When the Harbin police first arrived in Zhaodong to question Jiang Yingku, they didn't see a monster. They saw a 40-year-old man, slightly portly, with a face that many described as honest and simple. Jiang was a prosecutor himself, an official within the Zhaodong Procurator's petition office. When asked about the missing Harbin officials, Jiang was the picture of cooperation. He admitted he knew Yuan Cheng well, but claimed that neither Yuan nor Guo Dongmei had visited him on November 8th. Then, he planted a seed of doubt. He told the investigators that he knew the relationship between Yuan and Guo was unusual, and suggested they had simply run away together to start a secret life. For a moment, the police considered this. Jiang was a fellow officer of the law. Why would he lie? But the investigation back in Harbin told a different story. Yuan and Guo had no signs of an affair, no shared financial history, and most importantly, they hadn't touched their bank accounts or moved any property. People who run away usually take their money with them. By November 30th, the investigation shifted gears. A local criminal police captain named Zhaodong noticed the Harbin inquiry and dropped a bombshell. He had long suspected Jiang Yingku of being involved in a series of mysterious disappearances in Zhaodong over the years. The focus turned to Jiang's side business, the ceramic mansion. Jiang was the hidden hand behind a large-scale ceramic company, managed by a man named Zhaodong. The police discovered that many people who had business dealings with the ceramic mansion, construction workers, tenants, and associates, had vanished without a trace. The key was Zhaodong. But when the police went to find him, he was gone. He had been missing for 2 years. Some thought he was a co-conspirator who had fled. Others feared he was another victim in the furnace. After an intense search, they found him working as a boiler operator in a hot pot restaurant in Jiaozhou County. Under interrogation, the dam finally broke. Zhaodong confessed everything. He revealed that between 1993 and 2000, Jiang Yingku had led a gang that used guns, knives, and ropes to kill 21 people. The honest prosecutor was the leader of a bloodthirsty criminal organization. Jiang Yingku's path to violence began with ambition and debt. In the early 1990s, while working as a clerk in the Procuratorate, he secured a massive 3.5 million yuan loan to build his 7-story ceramic mansion. In those days, that was an astronomical sum. The blood started flowing almost as soon as the building was finished. In January 1993, Jiang targeted 2 associates, Zhang Guochen, a manager at a textile station, and Li Hai, a hardware store owner. Jiang had manipulated them into taking out 600,000 yuan in loans for him. To make matters worse, Jiang had been forcibly occupying Li Hai's wife as one of his many mistresses. To wipe out the debt and keep the woman for himself, Jiang decided both men had to die. He lured Li Hai to the ceramic mansion under the guise of signing loan papers. While Li was bending over to write, Jiang's cousin stabbed him repeatedly from behind. They dragged the body to the canteen, dismembered it, and shoved the pieces into the industrial furnace. A few weeks later, Zhang Guochen was lured to a similar fate. He was hacked to death with an axe and burned in a boiler. This furnace method became Jiang's signature, a way to ensure that without a body, there could be no crime. But the killings didn't stop with business rivals. Jiang was a man who trusted no one, not even his own blood. His cousin, Jiang Shuhai, who helped with the first murders, eventually collapsed under the guilt. He suffered from constant nightmares and would tremble uncontrollably whenever he saw a police uniform. Fearing his cousin was a time bomb, Jiang Yingku initially locked him in a boarded-up room. But when Shuhai escaped to his home in Liaoning and told his brother the truth, Jiang knew he had to act. He lured his cousin back to Zhaodong and shot him in the head while he slept. The furnace at the ceramic mansion was kept busy. Creditors who came to collect millions in unpaid construction costs were systematically executed. One friend, Lu Baoju, was killed simply for asking for 30,000 yuan he was owed for building materials. Jiang even turned on his own brothers-in-arms. His top assassin, Wang Yingli, had been loyal for years. But when Wang expressed dissatisfaction after a brutal robbery where they murdered an entire family of 4, including 2 children under the age of 10, for a measly 1,100 yuan, Jiang decided Wang was a liability. He invited his most effective killer to a restaurant, shot him dead, and burned his remains. How did he get away with it for 8 years? The answer lay in his protective umbrella. Jiang's sworn brother was Zhang Jiaowei, the deputy chief of the Zhaodong police. Whenever a lead pointed toward the ceramic mansion, Jiang would tip Jiang off or obstruct the investigation. In one instance, when Jiang murdered a couple over a demolition dispute, he appeared at the scene in his prosecutor's uniform, using his official status to intimidate investigating officers until they were forced to back down. The end of Jiang Yingku's reign began with the very people he tried to manipulate. Because Yuan Cheng was a high-ranking official in the provincial procuratorate, Jiang had spent years trying to get close to him. He hoped to have a powerful ally in the provincial capital. However, the relationship soured when Yuan Cheng became suspicious of Jiang's involvement in the disappearance of a woman who had been harassing Yuan for money. When Yuan began to distance himself, Jiang's paranoia took over. He realized he couldn't control Yuan, and if Yuan knew too much, Jiang's empire would crumble. On November 8, 2000, Jiang invited Yuan Cheng and Guo Dongmei to Zhaodong for a meal to discuss work. He drugged their drinks until they were unconscious. He then ordered his brothers to strangle them with white nylon ropes. Jiang's logic for killing Guo Dongmei was as cold as the winter outside. It would make the affair and disappearance story more believable to the police. But Jiang had underestimated the resolve of the Harbin authorities. Their investigation didn't just find the killers. It exposed the staggering incompetence and corruption of the local Zhaodong police. As the truth of Jiang's 21 murders came out, it was discovered that the police had already solved some of his crimes by framing innocent people. In 1994, a female bank manager had been stabbed on Jiang's orders because of a loan dispute. The Zhaodong police, under pressure to solve the case, ignored the real leads. They arrested Cui Hongjian and 3 of his brothers. To get a confession, the police paid an inmate to beat Cui Hongjian for 4 days and nights without food or sleep. Broken, Cui confessed to a story the police wrote for him. 16 members of the Cui family were targeted. 4 brothers went to prison, and their children were left abandoned. It wasn't until Jiang Yingku was caught in 2001 that the Cui brothers were finally exonerated after years of wrongful imprisonment. In early 2001, the Prosecutor Serial Killer and his gang finally faced the law they had so long subverted. The Harbin Intermediate People's Court handed down the verdict. Jiang Yingku and 4 of his primary accomplices were sentenced to death for organized crime, murder, robbery, and bribery. Soon after, they were led to the execution ground. The case, listed as the Ministry of Public Security's number 6 major murder case, was officially closed. The ceramic mansion still stands as a reminder of those 8 years of terror. But for the 21 victims whose remains were scattered as ash, justice arrived far too late. Their stories serve as a chilling testament to what happens when the people sworn to protect the law become its most dangerous predators.